Tie all this up before we take a break. It is remarkable. Here we are in April of 2008, and Hillary Clinton's campaign for the nomination could be in trouble. There's no doubt about it by every intent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think Senator Obama yesterday said something that I can definitely agree on. He says Indiana's going to be the tiebreaker. And this thing, if she wins Pennsylvania, he wins North Carolina, who would have thought when this entire process started that Indiana was going to be the absolute crucial state here? And that's by Senator Obama's own definition himself, and I think that he's right. I think that Indiana is going to pretty much tell us a lot about
James,
which way this is going to go.
you're clinging to Indiana like a life preserver. You're worried about North Carolina.
I'm going with Senator Obama said.
No, look,
the
fact is she has to win Pennsylvania by a big margin. She has to win most of the rest of the states by big margins. She has to break the mold by either winning or coming very close to North Carolina. Otherwise, to paraphrase Ronald Reagan, numbers are stubborn things, and he'll end up being the nominee.
But it's even more than that. Unless he keeps channeling Mike Dukakis every day and totally implodes, which is now possible, I think. She can lose the nomination, and the Democratic Party can go on and be formidable. To take the nomination away from Barack now requires a big superdelegate U-turn that's going to look like a smoke-filled deal and rip the Democratic Party in half. You cannot put that Barack Obama toothpaste back in the tube unless Barack totally implodes, and he has not done that.
She was such the overwhelming favorite. If you go back and read anything in 2006, 2007, Politico, Jim Vanderhei and David Paul Kuhn wrote this the other day. Hillary Rodham Clinton wants voters to decide the nomination based on who can coolly and competently run the country. She had better hope they don't study her recent campaign too closely for the answer. Clinton has overseen 2 major staff shakeups in 2 months. She has left a trail of unpaid bills and unhappy vendors and had to loan her own campaign $5 million to keep it afloat in January. Her campaign badly underestimated her main adversary, Barack Obama, miscalculated the importance of organizing caucus states, was caught flat-footed after failing to lock up the nomination on Super Tuesday. It would be easy to dismiss all this as fairly conventional political stumbling if she hadn't made her supreme readiness and managerial competence the central issue of her presidential campaign. Is that fair, Mary?
Yes, it's fair. I mean, of course it is.
Is that fair, James?
No. It's fair to say that her campaign didn't have a strategy. It's also fair to say this is probably the best, most courageous, toughest presidential candidate that we've ever seen anywhere, any place in our lifetimes.
You sound like Jack Valenti. I mean, that's a little over the top.
She has her personal performance in this campaign, her personal tenacity has been awesome. Her campaign is, I can't defend it. Look, Bush ran a very good campaign in 2000. Look what that got us.
Can I defend her without suggesting that she's the finest, most courageous candidate ever? Ronald Reagan had a big staff shakeup and went on to have an effective presidency. Bill Clinton, although it was quieter, had a big staff shakeup in which James was put in charge in 1992 and went on to have an effective presidency. So I don't think that's the standard by which she should be judged. The flaw in the Clinton campaign, as Mike said, as I've said, as James, we all say it, was they misread the year. The people advising her misread the year. She took bad advice. They went out and ran her as a semi-incumbent. They almost aped Bill Clinton's 1996 re-election campaign.
Yeah, but I can't buy into that because I agree it's been an awful campaign.
Yeah,
but it's been, the gold standard in awful campaigns. But Hillary Clinton, it's a little different for her because the campaign is a bigger part of her managerial biography. She was not elected governor of Arkansas. She was not elected president of the United States. This is the first big, important enterprise, other than the health care reform, that she's had direct managerial responsibility for, and it has been a disaster. I salute her tenacity. I agree with that. But it has not been a smart campaign, an insightful campaign, or a well-run campaign, and that is a metric by which to judge your president.
One last point on Senator Obama. Elitist, condescending words are being used to describe him in light of his comments about small-town America. Also at that same fundraiser in San Francisco, this has been written. At a fundraiser in San Francisco last weekend, Obama was answering a question about what he would look for in a running mate if he wins the nomination. I would like somebody who knows about a bunch of stuff that I'm not an expert on, he replied. I think a lot of people assume that might be some kind of military thing to make me look more commander-in-chief-like. Ironically, this is an area, foreign policy is the area where I am probably most confident that I know more and understand the world better than Senator Clinton or Senator McCain.
Well, I mean, he's in, I guess, that's good.
Based on what?
But yeah, I agree.
That'll be judged in the end. That'll be judged if he's the nominee by how they perform in the debates. It's very much like John Kennedy and Richard Nixon in '60. Nixon said experience counts. Kennedy went into the debates. People looked at the debates. They said Kennedy can do the job. That's how that issue is going to be decided.
I would expect anybody running for president would think that they're better than the other person. But I don't exactly, I mean, to be honest with you, I was a little bit, well, then what is he looking for in a running mate? Maybe somebody more economically grounded? I'm not sure what the comment meant, but I admire his kind of thinking that, look, I know this.
I think one of the political rules of running mate picking is to be sure not to choose somebody who looks like a signal about your weaknesses. You know, will you choose what you're not to remind everybody what you're not? Because generally the VP doesn't do a lot for you. I think he needs a small-town, gun-owning, pro-Christian now, so I nominate Carville.
Does that count? I can control.
So then John McCain shouldn't pick someone young?
I think if John McCain picks a young guy in a jogging suit, it's an incredibly stupid move. Because it's like the casting rule. You know, if you're Robert Redford's agent and they want Brad Pitt to be the co-star, and you're like, no, we want Ernest Borgnine. You know, it's a balancing act. So, no, I don't think you can be too clever by half.
The rule that this whole Obama thing illustrates, there's no such thing as a closed fundraiser. In the era of cell phones, where anybody can record anything, you're on camera or on the air all the time.
Back to this point, he's not as good a candidate as he professes to be, and all the super delegates.
I know you hope
I have no dog in this fight.
The only thing I like, Mary, is that you consistently defend Senator Clinton, and I look forward a few months from now, if she's the nominee, to seeing what you say when you come on this show.
I'm not for them. I'm for John McCain. He's not a good candidate. You superdelegates are supposed to be there for a purpose, not to follow the will of the people, but get somebody who can win.
Mr. Murphy, you also work for Mitt Romney. Do you think he'd be a good running mate?
Well, of all the hardball questions, Tim, I've ever... Yeah, I actually think he would be a very good running mate.
I knew I'd get him on the record.
You got me on it. No, but look, 3 reasons. You know, the first reasons are good person, but there are a lot of people like that in the top list. But what I like about Romney is the right states. He's kind of a prime minister type who could talk very good about the economy. And I think his fundraising energy is something the Republican Party is going to need against the Barack Obama money machine.
Why are we having this conversation? Everybody knows who John McCain needs to pick. Colin Powell. Hey, I mean, there's no other... Yes, if he picks Powell... Okay. The person that somebody ought to pick is the one that
made... here from the Democrats.
What?
Powell's great,
no,
but
actually,
then
I think
the strongest candidate. That'd be the strongest candidate.
Colin Powell's spoken out about this, and we're going to take a quick break and come back and talk about Colin Powell's advice to McCain, Clinton, and Obama about Iraq. We'll be right back with these 4 extraordinary political strategies after this.